film with my phone and it's being silly. Anyway, Outlander. If you're familiar with Outlanders, you'll know how they sit in the rear. This one has a 2-inch spacer in the rear. That's the way it sits once the spacer is installed. And it's pretty close to even. My phone is freaking out. Let's see. Alright. You can see the spacer right there. I gotta find a picture of a stock 4-cylinder Outlander to show you how it sits in the rear. But I think it turned out pretty decent. Alright, like, subscribe, comment. Thank you. Quick video on how to change the rear shock on a 2007 to 2013, I believe, Mitsubishi Outlander. I'm putting in a bushing that'll raise the rear suspension up. I think I have a 2-inch. It's like a bushing spacer. It looks like a spacer, but it's soft, like polyurethane, and it'll raise the rear end. So first things first, you pull these plugs out. You can get a flathead in there. You can get a flathead in there right there, or you can just, like I do, I just go right behind there and pop it out. I popped out both sides, and there's going to be a 14mm bolt. You can see, hold on, there's a 14mm nut. There's one on each side. You probably can't see that. Let me turn the flash on. Alright, there's the other one right there. So you can get a 3/8 drive. You could probably get a deep. Yeah, the deep socket could work. It'll definitely clear the stud. And I'm using a short, but that should a deep socket could do the job as well. The best tool for that is most likely a ratchet wrench. A ratchet wrench in 14 would make that job much easier, but I went ahead and just put the socket on top. Then I put the 3/8 drive. The drive won't sit all the way in because the stud is long, so that's why I put the socket on first. So now, second step, you want to get this bolt and nut combination off. They're both 17mm. You'd probably need a deep on one end, and a shallow is fine on the other end. Make sure you spray it with some lubricant, some WD, or whatever you have, penetrating fluid, and that'll be all for that step. Alright, after you get the nut off, you'll need a punch or even a smaller bolt, and a hammer to hammer the bolt right out. Okay, as I was taking the bolt out, I started to see it cock upward as it was coming out. That told me that there was tension on the bolt. The shock was pushing down while the control arm is pushing up, causing this to jam at the end. So Here you can see my punch or my bolt, smaller bolt, is stuck inside. And a good way to get that out is a socket and a floor jack. The socket is going to sit right at the bottom of the shock, and you're going to jack it up till you see the bolt center itself in the hole. Then you'll be able to take it out. Once you have that out, now the shock is able to come down. You have to move the jack out the way, of course. Now it still won't clear, so you'll have to step. If you step on the rotor, that'll give you enough room for this to come out. If you can't get enough weight on there, you can possibly put a breaker bar on one of these bolts, but you got to make sure they don't spin. So if you put it in a way that it'll tighten the bolt but still give you leverage to stand on it, maybe even this bottom bolt, you can put a breaker on there and maybe stand on it if it doesn't spin. But I have no issues getting this out by just standing on it, and I weigh about 175. If you need to create leverage, you can always put your hand here while you're stepping on here. Okay, here is the shock mount with the extended studs in there. I use my own spring compressor, but I recommend, if you're not familiar with a spring compressor, take it to a shop and have them take the top mount off of it and have them press in the studs for you. I didn't really press in the studs, I hammered the studs in, which I do not recommend. The other side came out fine, but this side is a little bit wobbly. You can see that right there. This one's wobbly, but once it's mounted in, it should be fine. As long as the splines don't spin inside, it should be good. It was a pain in the butt to do it with the spring compressor. Definitely a shop would definitely be easier, but only thing you gotta do is put the bushing on top, just like this. Let's see. There we go. That's all you do. Then you basically do the reverse of taking it out and putting it back in. I mean, the install isn't too bad. Just taking, using an old school spring compressor is just a pain in the butt to do. I have to show you a before and after picture of the ride height.